ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂತಿದ್ದಾನೆ, ಏನು ಮಾಡೋದು? ಅಶ್ವಮೇಧ ರಾಜಸೂಯ ಯಾಗ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ ತುಂಬ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದು, ನೀನು ಮಾಡು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಸರಿ, ಆದರೆ ಜರಾಸಂಧ ಇದ್ದಾನಲ್ಲ, ಅವನಿದ್ದಾಗ ಹೇಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ? ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಜರಾಸಂಧನ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ನಾನೇ ಓಡ್ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಓಡ್ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಲ್ಲ ಕೃಷ್ಣ. ಅದು ಜರಾಸಂಧನ ಸಾವಿರಾರು ಅಕ್ಷೋಹಿಣಿ ಸೈನ್ಯವನ್ನು ನಾಶ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಪದೇ ಪದೇ ಅವನನ್ನು ಕರೆಸಿದ್ದು. ಆದರೆ ಧರ್ಮರಾಜನ ಹತ್ರ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ, ಜರಾಸಂಧ ಇರಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನೀನು ಅಶ್ವಮೇಧ ಯಾಗ ಮಾಡುವ ಕನಸನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಟುಬಿಡು, ಆಸೆಯನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಟುಬಿಡು ಅಂತ. ಇದನ್ನು ಕೇಳಿದ ಕೂಡಲೇ ಧರ್ಮರಾಜ ಮರುಕ್ಷಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಉತ್ಸಾಹದಿಂದ ಕೃಷ್ಣನನ್ನು ಕರೆಸಿ ರಾಜಸೂಯ ಯಾಗ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಸ್ತಾವ ಇಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು, ಆ ಕ್ಷಣದಲ್ಲೇ ನನ್ನ ಆಸೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೋಯಿತು, ಇನ್ನು ನಾನು ಅಶ್ವಮೇಧ ಯಾಗ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ, ನನ್ನ ತಂದೆಯ ಆಸೆಯನ್ನು ಈಡೇರಿಸದೆ ನಾನು ಸಾಯಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಬೇಸರ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು. ಆವಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಭೀಮಸೇನನ ಒಂದು ಚಿಂತನೆ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದು ಅವರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಉತ್ಸಾಹವನ್ನು ತಂದುಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂದರೆ ನಮಗೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಸಾರ್ವಕಾಲಿಕವಾದ ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತವಾದ ಒಂದು ಮಾತು. ಭೀಮಸೇನ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ, ಅಣ್ಣ, ಯಾರಾದರೂ ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಸಕ್ಸಸ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾರಣ ಏನು ಅಂತಂದರೆ 3 ಕಾರಣಗಳನ್ನು ಕೊಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಜನಾನ ಉನ್ನತಿಯನ್ನು ಪಡೆಯಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ನಿಜಾನುಭಾವ ವರ್ಜಿತ, ಅವರಿಗೆ ಆ ಸಾಮರ್ಥ್ಯನೇ ಇರಲ್ಲ. ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸಕ್ಸಸ್ ಕಾಣುವಂತಹ ಸಾಮರ್ಥ್ಯ ಇರಲ್ಲ, ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಅವರು ಸಕ್ಸಸ್ ಕಾಣಲ್ಲ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು, ಅದು ನಮಗೆ ಕಣ್ಣಿಗೆ ಕಾಣದೇ ಇರೋದು, ಆದರೆ ಹರೇಹೇ ಅನುಗ್ರಹ ಉಚಿತ, ಭಗವಂತನ ಅನುಗ್ರಹ ಇಲ್ಲ, ದೇವರ ದಯೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅವನಿಗೆ. ಎಷ್ಟೇ ದೇವರ ದಯೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅದರಿಂದ ಸಕ್ಸಸ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ, ಅದು ನಮಗೆ ಕಣ್ಣಿಗೆ ಕಾಣುವಂಥದ್ದು ಮಹಾಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ವರ್ಜಿತ, ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಿಜಾನುಭಾವ ಇದೆ, ಭಗವಂತನ ಅನುಗ್ರಹ ಇದೆ, ಆದರೆ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಜನಾನ ಜಗತ್ತುರಿಲ್ಲತಿ, ಅಂಥವ್ರು ಮಾತ್ರ ಔನ್ನತ್ಯವನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಿಲ್ಲ. ಆದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಜಾನುಭಾವ ಏಷಮೇ, ನನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಅನುಭವ ಇದೆ, ನನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಸಾಮರ್ಥ್ಯ ಇದೆ. ಭೀಮಸೇನ ಅವನೊಬ್ಬ ಇದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು ಅಂತ ಭೀಮಸೇನಲ್ಲಿ ಸಹಜವಾದ ಒಂದು ಸಾಮರ್ಥ್ಯ ಇದೆ, ಒಂದು ಬಂದಾಯಿತು. ಹರೇರ ಅನುಗ್ರಹ ಪರಹ, ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಪಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲೇ ನಿಂತ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾನೆ, ಅವನ ಅನುಗ್ರಹ ಬೇಕಾದಷ್ಟಿದೆ, ಅದರಿಂದ 2ನೇದು ಬಂತು. ಈ 2 ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಕಣ್ಣಿಗೆ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ನಾನಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಚಿಂತೆ ಬೇಡ, ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ, ಭಗವಂತ ಅನುಗ್ರಹ ಇದೆ. ಇನ್ನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋದು ಒಂದೇ ಒಂದು ಕೆಲಸ, ಏನು? ಪ್ರಯತ್ನವೇಕಮಗ್ರತೋ ನಿಧಾಯ ಭೂತಿ ಮಾತುಮಃ. ನಾವು ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಪಡೋಣ, ಅವಾಗ ಮುಂದೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ. ಅದರಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಕ್ಸಸ್ಗೆ ಕಾರಣ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಈ 3ರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ 2 ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ, ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ನಿಜಾನುಭಾವ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಅವನಿಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಗೊತ್ತಿರತ್ತೆ, ಅದನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುವಂಥದ್ದು. 2 ನಾವು ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕು. ಒಂದು ಭಗವಂತನ ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥನೆ, ಅವನ ಅನುಗ್ರಹವನ್ನು ಸಂಪಾದನೆ ಮಾಡಿ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಸೋತ್ಸಾಹನ ನಾಸ್ತ ಸಾಧ್ಯಂ ನರಾಣಂ, ಉತ್ಸಾಹ ಯುಕ್ತರಾದ ನರರಿಗೆ ಯಾವುದೂ ಅಸಾಧ್ಯವಾದದ್ದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತದ ಮಾತಿನಂತೆ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಒಂದು ಔನ್ನತ್ಯ ಸಿಗತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. ಈಗ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಬದಲಾವಣೆಗೆ ಭೀಮಸೇನನ, ಶ್ರೀಕೃಷ್ಣನ ಮತ್ತು ಧನುರ್ಧಾರಿಯಾದ ಅರ್ಜುನನ ಅನುಗ್ರಹವನ್ನು ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥಿಸ್ತಾ ತತ್ವಚಿಂತನೆಯನ್ನು ಮುಗಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಶ್ರೀಕೃಷ್ಣನ
ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು ಅಣ್ಣ. ಈಗ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್ ಗಜಾನನ್ ಲೋಂಡೆ ಅವರು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಎಲ್ಲರ ಮುಂದೆ ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತಪಡಿಸೋಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಕರಿಕ್ಯುಲಮ್ ಫ್ರೇಮ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಫಾರ್ ದ ಫೌಂಡೇಶನಲ್ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್.
Namaste to all. All आदरणीय आचार्यगण of Purna Samati and enlightened aware parents of Purna Samati. ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ? ಈಗ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ರೋಲಿ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ? ಹರಿ ಓಂ. ಈಗ ಸರಿ ಇಲ್ಲ? ಇವತ್ತು ಇವತ್ತು ವಿಶೇಷ ದಿನ ಮತ್ತು ಈ ಪಾಯಸ್ ಎನ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಈ ಸೆಷನ್ಗೆ ಸೆಷನ್ ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ನನ್ನ ಮಾತೃಭಾಷೆ ಮರಾಠಿ. ನಾನು ಹಿಂದಿ ಅಥವಾ ಮರಾಠಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಇದೇ ಥರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಷನ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ, ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೆ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಫ್ಲೂಯೆನ್ಸಿ ಬರ್ಬೋದು, ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ನನಗೆ. ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ನಮ್ಮ ಭಾಷೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಯಾವುದು, ಭಾರತೀಯ ಭಾಷೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ತುಂಬ ನಮಗೆ ಶಬ್ದ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷಲ್ಲಿ ಅಷ್ಟು ಶಬ್ದ ಏನು ಅರ್ಥ ನಮಗೆ ಬೇಕು ಆ ಥರದ ಶಬ್ದ ಸಿಗಲ್ಲ. ಮತ್ತು ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಯಾವ ಶಬ್ದ ಪ್ರಯೋಗ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಆ ಶಬ್ದದ ಅರ್ಥ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೆ ಸಮಾನವಾಗಿ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇದೆ. ಬಟ್ ನನ್ನ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಕನ್ನಡ ಅಷ್ಟು ಫ್ಲೂಯೆಂಟ್ಲಿ ಬರಲ್ಲ. ನಾನು ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ನಿಮಗೆ ಯಾವ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಇದೆ ಅದು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಕನ್ನಡ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ ಏನೋ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಸರಿ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನೀವು ಕೈತ್ಕೋಬೋದು, ನಾನು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಇವತ್ತು ಈ ಸೆಷನ್ ನಾವು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಇಂಟರಾಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಥರ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಸೆಷನ್. ಯಾವಾಗ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಸೆಷನಲ್ಲಿ ಎರಡೂ ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಒಂದು, ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳಬೇಕು ಅವ್ರ ಮನಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಇವಾಗ ಒಂದು PPT ಇದೆ, ಸೊ PPTಯಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನು ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಸೊ ನೀವು ನೋಡ್ತೀರಾ, ಕೇಳ್ತೀರಾ. ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮುಖ್ಯ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ವಿಚಾರ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅದು ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. And this is not for us to learn things, this is for us to understand. So ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸೆಷನಲ್ಲಿ you should not only listen to what I am saying, you should think more on what I am saying. ಸರಿನಾ? ಸೊ ನಾನು as part of technical secretariat ಈ NCF ಕೆಲಸ ಏನು ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಇನ್ಪುಟ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲ ಬರ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಟೀಮ್ ಇದೆ. ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಸ್ಟಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ಕಮಿಟಿ, ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಕಸ್ತೂರಿ ರಂಗನ್ಜಿ ಅವರು ಆ ಕಮಿಟಿದು ಚೇರ್ಮನ್. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ಮಂಜುಳ್ ಭಾರ್ಗವ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನೀವು ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ಲಿ, ಅವರು ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸ್ಟನ್ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇದೇ ಥರ ತುಂಬ ಜನ ಆ ಕಮಿಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, 12 ಜನ. ಸೊ ಆ ಕಮಿಟಿಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು, ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಈ ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸ್ NCF ಬರೆಯೋಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸ್, NEP ಹೇಗೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅದೇ ಥರ NCF ತುಂಬ ಡೆಮೋಕ್ರಾಟಿಕಲಿ ಈ ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್. ಸೊ ಆ ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬ ಜನ ಇನ್ಪುಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು. ಸೊ ಆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ಪುಟ್ ಕನ್ಸಾಲಿಡೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಆಮೇಲೆ ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ನೋಟ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಪ್ರತಿ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಗೆ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ ಪೇಪರ್ಸ್ ಬರೀಬೇಕು. ಆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೆಲಸ ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಇವತ್ತು ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಶೇರ್ 2 ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್. ಒಂದು NCF ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ಏನು ಹೇಳಬೇಕು, ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪೂರ್ಣ ಪ್ರಮತಿ ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಅದು ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬಹುದು, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೇ ಥರ ವಾತಾವರಣ ಇರಬಹುದು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ NCF ಇಂದ ಏನು ವಿಶೇಷ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ ಪೂರ್ಣ ಪ್ರಮತಿ ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗೆ, ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ like very little expectation andre most of it you will know. I'll also talk about what has gone behind when an NCF, National Curriculum Framework, is created, and especially the way it is created after NEP. So this is first time in the history of our country that there is a National Curriculum Framework followed by a National Education Policy. So this is a special curriculum framework. So far NCFs were there, and these NCFs were created by set of educationists appointed by NCR. They were sitting maybe in Delhi and then doing this work. This time NCF, which was started 1.5 years back, was followed, or it actually was the first step of implementation of National Education Policy. I am sure all of you have heard about National Education Policy. ಕೇಳಿದಿರಾ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ? ಯಾರು ಕೇಳಿಲ್ಲ National Education Policy 2020? All of you heard? ಓದಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ನೋಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ? PDF ಡಾಕ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಥವಾ ಏನು ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಅಥವಾ ವಾಟ್ಸಪ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ಫೋಗ್ರಾಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದನ್ನು ನೋಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ಇಲ್ಲ. ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ NEP ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೀರಾ? NEP ಬಂದಿದ್ದೆ July 29, 2020. ಆವಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ಪಿರೇಷನಲ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ. Till now, in our history, even if we take from 1947, so Bharat is not starting from 1947, right? But for us to know, but our educational history, so from 1830s, it's drastically changed when British education system came. And then towards 1920s, 1930s, many people started the transformation in education system. Whereas in 100 years, our education literacy has dropped significantly. So I'm sure you would have heard about the book called Beautiful Tree, written by Dharampal, who is a Gandhian. And if you have not read, you should read that book, The Beautiful Tree. So that book talks about education system in India. You can also get PDF version very easily online, or you want to buy in book also, you can buy. That book talks about how education was in our country. Now why I am sharing this is if we can connect to education in our country. If we go in 17th century or 18th century, I am sure most of you know we had Gurukula education system. At least we have heard about what is Gurukula, what is Gurukula education. In Purna Brahmati, it's a modern Gurukula. There is attempt to bring lot of good aspects from the Gurukula education in modern times. Education changed in 1820s, 1830s. After 100 years, many efforts started to change from Gandhiji's Nai Talim, you would have heard, Arbindo's education philosophy, you would have heard, then Vijubhai Badheka, Tarabai Modak. Lot of people started creating different models of education for Bharat. After 1947, there were efforts made to universalize and then have literacy in our country. Like more and more people should know how to read, right? At that time, literacy was 15-20%. Only so many people knew how to read, right? So these are statistics of those times. So policies were made to universalize. Then in 50s, there was standardization of education when bodies like NCRP were formed. And first policy, National Education Policy of our country came in 1968. So this was the major first step of transforming education in our country. So that policy suggested drastic changes in how education should happen. ಆಮೇಲೆ 1986 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಬಂತು. That was the second national education policy of our country. After 86, the next third policy came in 2020, after 34 years. Each policy, the 68 policy, 86 policy, they were based on the conditions at that time, how education was in our country. 2020 only. One is after 2014, lot of things changed, lot of aspiration, and there was growth in many aspects. Then 2020, when the policy was made, the underlying themes, there were few themes. First theme was education should be rooted to our culture, rooted to Bharatiyata, rooted to Bharat. That was the first important thing. So you will also see the vision of NEP. If you read those three sentences, it said education rooted to our culture. So that is the first part. Second thing is it is aspirational. It is talking about 21st century. How all our children, so our life we have lived, so we were educated maybe 20, 30, 40 years back. Whatever system was there. Now our children, they are getting education in 22, 23, and they will finish education in 20, 30, 35. So we should educate them for them to be most effective in 2030 and how they should build our nation in 2030. So with that vision, this National Education Policy 2020 is written. So there are many transformative aspects. So these transformative aspects are realized in National Curriculum Framework. So today I will try to share a few things. Till this comes up, I'll share a few transformative things what NCF is focusing on. The first step, already we heard about the structure of education. So all of you heard about 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದು 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4? ಇಲ್ಲಿ 4 ಇದೆ. ಅದು ಇದು ಬರೀ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಇದೆ ಅಥವಾ ಹೈಯರ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಇದೆ? 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. ಈಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು 10 plus 2 ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. 10 ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ 1 to 10 ಮತ್ತು PU ಕಾಲೇಜ್ 11th and 12th. ಇದು ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್. NEP ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಬಿಗ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್. ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ದ ಫಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ suggestion or recommendation is to start at age 3, and this is universalization of education from age 3. So 3 to 8 is the first step, first 5 years. So that is called foundational stage. Next 3 is called preparatory. So foundational, English shabda, I think all of us understand. So that is the foundation of lifelong learning. And today we are going to talk more about it. So why it is foundational and what is drastic change which NEP suggests, which NCF has tried to realize through this structure. The second 3, that is so first 5 years, the bottom part, foundational stage. Next 3 is preparatory. So foundation stage is first time child is coming to school. Child doesn't want to learn. We want the child to learn, right? No 3-year-old child wants to learn. It's not about going to school. They don't even want to learn, whether they are at school, home, playground, wherever. They just want 2 things. They want to be safe and they want to enjoy. These are the only 2 things. But children learn maximum in this stage. So how this learning happens? Children do things what they enjoy again and again. If they enjoy, you would have seen some children, if there is a small step, they will go on the step, then come back. They will go on the step, come back. Happens? You would have seen. Or they play with some small thing. They will just keep on drawing circle type of thing, rotating or throwing ball, catching, whatever they like. So if they get ananda in any activity, they will do again and again. And by doing again and again, learning happens. So there is no learning to be done. So we have many big problems in the system. So we call teachers. And teachers feel that they have to teach. Children don't know. Actually children don't need teaching. They just need to have that right environment for learning. So NEP and NCF talks a lot about these things in the foundational stage. Second is the preparatory. As the name suggests, preparatory andre tayari, not purva tayari. Like you prepare for formal education. That is what it means. Preparatory. So those are 3 years. In our current system, we have class 3, 4, 5. So foundation stage alli 3 ವರ್ಷ kindergarten education ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. pre KG, LKG, UKG ಅಥವಾ Montessori 1, 2, 3 ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಇದೆ ಆ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ 3 years ಏಜ್ 3 to 6 ಅದು ಬಾಲವಾಟಿಕಾ ಹೆಸರು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ 1 and 2. ಸೊ 5 ವರ್ಷ there is a specific mindset of a child and there is a specific stage in our development. So taking that stage, this foundational education is designed. The next 3 years is preparation for formal education. So what it means is preparatory stage is also not formal. It is a semi-formal. So first is total informal. The second is just getting into education, preparing to get into education. Then is the middle school, which starts at 6, class 6. 6 to 8 is the middle school. That is where more formal learning will start. And then secondary stage, which is 4 years. So now secondary and higher secondary history. So 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. So all 4 years are clubbed together. And this is the foundation for higher education. So if you look at this structure, there are 2 foundations. The foundation for the overall learning and foundation for higher education. These are the major changes which this system talks about. Foundation ಬಗ್ಗೆ detail ಮಾತಾಡೋಣ. So we spoke about National Curriculum Framework. Have you seen National Curriculum Framework any time in your life? Curriculum Framework nodidira? Last Curriculum Framework was in 2000 and then 2005. So these last 2 curriculum frameworks. Most of these curriculum frameworks are very high level, abstract, philosophical documents. So because they are philosophical and high level, most of the parents or even teachers don't look at it. They are meant for people who write syllabus, who write books. So they are only for those limited number of educationists. But this time, there is an attempt to write curriculum framework which all of us should read. And it is written with teacher in mind. So it is not written with educationists and the syllabus makers in mind. And then who are teachers in this room? Yaridare Acharya? Not to raise hand. I just want that all of us, right? Who is the first guru of our child? Who is the next? Everybody at home, right? It starts with Amma, Appa, Acha, Aji, everybody. Even Anna, Akka. All of them are the Acharyas, teachers for the child. The child is learning from everybody. So that means that NCF, everybody has to read. So it is not only for certain people. And that's why today is really a special day. In Purna Pramati, Srinivasi and all the Purna Pramati team has organized this special session. Not many places these type of sessions are happening in our country. So all of you are really privileged to have this session and think about it. So you said you have not actually seen NEP because there was no attempt or no opportunity for us to look at it. Now there is an opportunity for you to look at it. So this is a great privilege. So you should take it further. So like the curriculum framework for foundational stage andre age 3 to 8, there is another framework called NCF for school education. That is class 3 to 12. Then there is third NCF curriculum framework for teacher education. So if we have very good system, but if we don't have teachers, then the system cannot be implemented. So there was a question which was asked to Dr. Kasturi Ranganji. What is the focus of this national education policy when NEP 2020 was getting released? And then he said teacher. And then everybody looked at, so the focus should be children. and why it is teacher. So are we going to the teaching focus rather than learning focus? And then he said, the centrality of the system has to be teacher and not the books and all other things which are today the situation. This is the situation today that education means what is there in the book, whatever textbooks we have, the chapter 1, chapter 2, unit 1, unit 2, term 1, exam, these are the only things all over country. So this we are not talking of Purna Pramati, right? We are talking of general situation in the country. So unless we change the teacher, the whole system cannot change. So that's why there is a lot of focus on teacher and teacher education in the NEP, and keeping that in mind, there is a third curriculum framework which is teacher education framework. Then there is a fourth framework which is happening for the first time in our country. This is NCF for adult education. Now so far, if I ask you what is adult education, we will say able to, instead of thumb impression, able to sign. That is how we know about adult education, right? People should know AIE, they should be able to sign. Reading for learning, all those things were not part of the literacy for adults. But here, this NEP also talks about, and this curriculum framework will bring out various aspects of adult education. So there are different types of literacy. There is literacy for reading, writing. There is financial literacy. There is media literacy. There are so many other types of literacy which all of us should know, including digital literacy. So not many of us know how to use the technology around us effectively for us. And blindly, if we follow, we harm us, right? Now this mobile phone, we don't know how to stop it. So we just get addicted to it. And then technology harms is one thing. But lot of things which are good in technology, we are not able to harness. So like this, the whole curriculum framework for adult education will focus on this. There was a very nice incident while we were discussing in the National Focus Group for writing position paper on the foundational stage. So there were 7-8 experts. One of them, he said, I have done education in great institutes, I have done my engineering from IIT, but no one has told me how to become a good father. In the whole system, no one has told, but the expectation is I should be a good parent at home to give right environment at home for Samagra Vyaktitva Vikas of my child. Now if nobody has told me, how can I take care? This just happens to us, right? All of us. If we are maybe some parts, this side of Bangalore might be a little more lucky than other parts, migratory population. So you might have your parents or elders at home through which some learning happens. But not all families have that. So parents are left to themselves to learn. So this adult education, when we were discussing, these are parenting also should be part of adult education. But then if we have home right, lot of things are set right. So some of these things may come in this framework. Then we have lot of time for question answers. So ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನು ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ನಾನೇನು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಅದು ಅಷ್ಟು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಿಮಗೆ PPT ಬೇಕು ಅಥವಾ ಡಾಕ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ ಬೇಕು, ಅದು ಎಲ್ಲ ರೆಡಿಲಿ ಅವೈಲೇಬಲ್ ಇದೆ, ಅದು ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಮಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ಯುವರ್ ಮೈಂಡ್, ಯು ಕೀಪ್ ಥಿಂಕಿಂಗ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಇಟ್. ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಫೌಂಡೇಶನಲ್ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ NCF ಅಲ್ಲಿ there are few points in terms of the focus of this national curriculum framework. So the first most important thing is this first time an integrated 5 years curriculum framework is created in our country. Till now, class 1 and 2 were clubbed in the formal education. But there is a lot of research that up to age 8, age 9 max, so up to age 8, with the steps up to 5 years, up to 3 years, 5 years, 8 years, huge development happens. And we say that up to 5-6 years, 85% of brain development already happens. And I'm sure there will be parents here who are experts in zoology, biology, medicine. You know that the anatomical aspect of brain development happens by I think 6 months when we are in our mother's womb. So that time all our brain development happens with the anatomical. But the functional brain development happens up to 5 years. So functional development is when the neuron connections with the pathways or signages. ನಮ್ಮ ಭಾಷೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಸ್ಕಾರ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. So initial stage is very important when samskara is education. Education ಬೇರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. So that is the most important aspect in the foundational stage. So this foundational stage also has these aspects. So one is it is rooted in Bharatiya thought. At the same time, there is a lot of modern research also available on how brain development happens, how these we call subconscious pathways, neuron pathways happen. So all those things are taken to design this curriculum framework. Mattu most important thing is about holistic development. Lot of people talk about holistic development. Holistic development in abstrakta ide. So there is something for all-round development, holistic development, integral education. ಈ ಥರ ತುಂಬ ಪದಗಳು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಹೋಲಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಇರಬೇಕು, ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಬಟ್ ವೆನ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಟು ದ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನಿಂಗ್, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಫೋಕಸ್ಡ್ ಆನ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜಸ್, science, maths and social science, and everything stops there. Have you seen the 10th standard certificate? 10th standard certificate ಅಲ್ಲಿ marks ನೋಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ? Our own certificate ಏನಿದೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ? 5 core subjects ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಬಾಕ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಬಿ. ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಬಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ some character aspects, sports aspect, ಇದು ಅದು ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಹೋಲಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಇಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದಿಸ್. ಹೋಲಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಇಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ಕಮ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ಪೇಜ್, ಬಟ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದ ರಿಯಲ್ ಇಂಟೆಗ್ರಲ್ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಚೈಲ್ಡ್. ಸೊ ಈ ಕರಿಕ್ಯುಲಮ್ ಫ್ರೇಮ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ ಡೊಮೇನ್ಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ಆರ್ shared as part of holistic development. So I just skip to this slide, which is really important to understand how foundational education should happen. Well, many times we have seen in many schools, parents compare that in other school, the child is already knowing capital ABCD, small ABCD, and your school only up to H the child is knowing. So your education quality is not good. Then the other school, they can already know up to 99, or they can do addition up to 99. You are teaching only up to 20. So quality of education is gone. Now the IIT, my child cannot go. ಈ ಥರ ಒಂದು ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ಸ್ ತುಂಬ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಪೂರ್ಣ ಪ್ರಮಾಣದಲ್ಲಿ mostly it will not be there. But lot of schools, these type of things are there. I'm sure you also would have heard such things. Right? So our focus in foundational stage is only on ABCD and on mathematics. So it is called foundational literacy and numeracy. But this curriculum framework talks about 6 domains of learning. I'm sure in Purna Pramati you would have heard about holistic development, integral development multiple times. So what is coming in NCF, lot of it what you are doing in the school is now coming at national level. So when we talk about education rooted to Bharatiyata, to our culture, including, we had Deepa Prajwalana, we started the program in a very pious note. I'm sure all of you felt so nice the way we started. So this parampara has to continue, this experience has to continue, but it's not there in every school. So how can we bring this to every school? So these domains of learning, it is not only foundational literacy and numeracy, but it starts with physical development. In most of the schools, there is a PE, physical education, but it is limited to mass PT. I'm sure you would have seen about, right? So your PE period, 2 periods per week. What do you do in 2 periods? Mass PT. So you ask children, do you have time for play every day? Most of the schools don't have it. Right? So physical education is not mass PT. Physical education is development of lot of capacities, physical capacities what we have. It starts with flexibility, endurance, different types of capacities, including we call it in English, fine motor control, gross motor control. But in our terms, in our Bharatiya Bhasha, if we have to say, we have the Jnanendriya, Karmendriya, Vikasa, sensorial development, all types of senses. So, physical development, the cognitive development is also linked. When you say integral, physical development doesn't happen on its own. So NCF also talks about it. So then the other domain is socio-emotional and ethical development. So there are a lot of things to go in depth. But when I came here, I was told only 30 minutes I have to talk. After that, question answers. So I will not go in details of all the aspects of each domain. But for every domain, the development of child, if it doesn't happen in a balanced way, the child will look like, so just imagine the child with very one hand which is very long, or only head is very big and body is small. How will the child look? So we should imagine this integral development in that way, in a very simple perspective. So physical, socio-emotional, language, literacy, then cognitive development, and then the aesthetics part. And last is positive learning habits. This is about learning to learn. So if children know how to learn, we don't have to teach them a lot of things. So we have to teach them how to learn, then there is a lifelong process which will happen on its own. So many times we just give information to them and we want them to behave the way we think and the decisions we take. We don't teach them to take decisions. We don't teach them to think. We don't teach them to learn. So this aspect talks about it. Then this is one very important topic. This is discussed, debated in many places. I'm sure you will also have, all of you will have your own views on this. This is about what should be the medium of instruction and what languages child should learn. So every time from 1968, so this language thing is not new. But today you will always hear in newspaper, somewhere there is a, why are you imposing Hindi? And then somewhere it will be like Sanskrit, why do you want to make it compulsory? Then lot of people will say English illa andre education illa. Quality education andre English alli irbeku. Illa adi kannadadalli andre quality illa. So quality English. Itara barutte yochane, you would have heard this, right? So which are the best schools? International, ಬರೀ ಈಗ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಆಗಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಬೇಕು, ಫ್ರೆಂಚ್, ಸ್ಪ್ಯಾನಿಷ್ ಅದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಥಾಟ್. ಬಟ್ NEP and also NCF very strongly recommends that foundational stage education should be in mother tongue, should be in the language which a child has already acquired by the age 3. And there is a deep science behind it. So this is not an emotional topic. This is not about Bharat Mata Ki Jai. This is not about Hemme. It's not about that. It's a very scientific thing. A child takes 3 years, listens to more than 30,000 words to speak a couple of thousand words. Now that investment of 3 years, if you make it zero and start a new language, the child struggles to learn new language and then all other development is gone. And by age 6, 85% brain development is happening. Opportunity miss ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. So we should just continue. ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ಭಾಷೆ ಇದೆ ಅದೇ ಭಾಷೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ ಆಗಬೇಕು. So NCF ಅಲ್ಲಿ very strongly it is recommended that the first language should be language which the child knows, most familiar language of the child. And then second language can be language which is spoken in the locality. Locality only our language is our language. And then the literacy part. So there are two aspects to language. One, the oral part. Now KTV, Mataji. Who has taught you mother tongue here? Has anybody taught you mother tongue? How did you learn? So no methodology ಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ language learning. But all scientists have big methodologies, language learning, ಈ ಥರ ಆಗಬೇಕು, ಆ ಥರ ಆಗಬೇಕು. So there are two aspects. There is one part which is natural language learning. So mother tongue we learn naturally. But there is also the systematic aspect of language learning. So that has to be acquired. So the literacy part, reading, writing, has to be acquired in a systematic way. So that systematic way happens for the NCF says and suggests, recommends that first language the child learns, the literacy has to be in the most familiar language. And then NCF also goes and says that foreign language is not recommended. Not at this preference, it's not recommended. So this is the suggestion, recommendation from NCF. Different states will go with different policies. And different schools are also free to have these policies. There is for numeracy, normally Maneyalli, everybody will teach 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. By the time child comes to school, all those things are done. That is verbal. What you said, by listening, we listen and talk. Do we understand the concepts of 1, 2, 3, 4? So for numeracy learning, there is a method, and NCF has used a method called ELPS. So you first experience, when you talk about it, you see the pictures, then symbols. So many times we go with, we have, this is 1. And now in Kannada also, the symbols are used are English symbols for numbers. So we use English symbols, Kannada symbols use not like that. So, and also in other languages, official documents also come in English numbers. But those are symbols. So the journey from experiencing to symbols is given in NCF. As I said to you earlier, this NCF is not written for people who will write textbooks. So this is written for all the teachers, and all parents are teachers. So how to organize the content, how to teach, what methodology should be there, the importance for relationship between a teacher and a child. Many times this is not at all discussed even in the teacher education part of training programs, the impact of healthy relationship between Guru and Shishya. But Gurukuladalli, that was very important. So, Guru Shishya, Parampara ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಂಬಂಧ ಹೇಗಿರಬೇಕು, ಅದರ ಮೇಲೆ quality of education depends. So in NCF there is a lot of focus on how to organize the content, time, relationship ಹೇಗಿರಬೇಕು. Then there is a term called the tail of assessment wags the dog of learning. Normally dog wags the tail, right? So how exam is, learning will be like that. If JEE has set a pattern in one way, from class 3, the learning will be for JEE. We got it? So earlier it was 11th, 12th, then they said no, foundation has to start from 8th standard. Now that foundation has come to 6th standard, and some schools are starting IIT preparation from 3rd standard. So I am not exaggerating, this is true. With multiple choice and the way we learn. So learning is based on how the assessment or the test which is happening. In foundation stage, NCF says that there should be no formal assessment, no summative assessment, no pen paper, 80 marks question, 80 marks paper, examination. But it should be formative assessment and do it in 2 ways. You observe the child. You know what the child is doing. And if child is not doing something, this is called assessment for learning. So you find out, oh, child can do this. Out of 5 things, they can do 3 things. So the next 2 things, they can help them do it. So this is assessment for learning. Then child will be drawing something. So you can see a drawing which is done when the child is 3.5 years and when the child is 5 years. So when you see, you do the analysis, trend analysis of the artifacts done by the child, you know what type of development is happening. Just by seeing drawing, you can see the fine motor development, you can see concept development, you can see aesthetic development. So lot of things can be seen by the artifacts the child is created. And same applies at home. We normally don't observe what the child is doing. And the most interesting thing what the child brings to us, that is the noise for us. So we say, this is not what I want to do. The child would have brought something that this I have done. We'll be busy with our own things, but we don't get into what the child wants to show. So that is also part of assessment, even at home. So NEP and NCF talks about this assessment, which is more observation based, and assessment which is based on the artifacts what the child has done. Then there is one very important area. When we talk about pedagogy or the method, how learning should happen in the foundation stage, NCF says that foundation stage is only play-based methodology. So no formal learning. Then parents will say, okay, so I don't know, you would have seen in when you were young, what used to happen when we used to play, there was not much of pressure, right? We could, at least on weekends, we used to play, or evenings, play, come back. Nobody shouted on us. But what we did to our children, maybe your children are too small, maybe my generation. So what we did is, play means you are missing studies. So children who are playing, they are not good at studies. Now they do. I'm sure with you also this might have happened to some of you who are very young. Play was considered to be opposite of education. But the NCF is saying in foundation stage it has to be only play. Now all the parents will think education is not happening. What are children going? Going to school and playing there. ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಶಾಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. So this school's quality of education is not good. ಅದು ಬರುತ್ತೆ. If children are just playing, I am sure you will all think about, oh, ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಶಾಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ. The child is not learning anything. In many other formal setup, this question will come even more strongly. So it is important to understand the focus of foundation stage and how it is linked to preparatory stage. So when your children, now they are in preschool, from there when they go to preparatory, there will be link. So in foundation stage, there is focus on domains like physical development, emotional development, and the subject focus just in that. Preparatory is ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ subject focus ಬರುತ್ತೆ. But it is still interdisciplinary. It is connecting different things in life. So life is not English or Ganita or physics. Life is integral. So preparatory is ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ subject, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ integration. 6 onwards subject specific learning ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. So this you should understand how the linking is there. So don't scold your child when child is playing. If child is playing, child is learning. That is very important. Then the last part is, this NCF talks a lot about role of parents. School ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಎಷ್ಟು ಗಂಟೆ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ? 2, 3, 4. ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ 20 hours. ಸೊ ಸ್ಕೂಲಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ ಅದು ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, ಮತ್ತು ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ ಅದು ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ಗೆ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನಿಂಗ್. ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಅ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ನರ್ಶಿಪ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್. ಮೆನಿ ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸ್, ಇಫ್ ಯು ಗೆಟ್ ಅ ಗುಡ್ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್, that is like climbing Everest. For 13 years now ಕೆಲಸ ಆಯಿತು, good school, then we just give the child to the school, our job is over. But NCF says that it has to be partnership between school and teacher. So very important. I'm sure all of you, especially in Purnapram, you are behaving like this. So this is for all our country, it will happen like this. Although community participation should be there. So we should have many experts in community, they should also engage with us. And then there are other aspects of teacher development, technology and all those things. So these were high level things. I skipped a lot of things. All of them are there in the NCF book, which is only 350 pages. So you can read, and I'm sure you will get a lot of ideas in terms of teaching at home. And also you will know what is happening in the school. With this, we will open up for questions and just the time
ಆಫ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ.
ನಮಸ್ತೆ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ. once ಇಷ್ಟೊತ್ತು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಅನೇಕರಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಇತ್ತು, NCF ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, NEP ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಏನಿದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ಸೊ ಅವರೇ ಹೇಳಿದ ಹಾಗೆ ಪೂರ್ಣಪ್ರಗತಿ ಮುಖಾಲ್ ಪಾಲನ್ನ ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಅಳವಡಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೆ, ಅದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಅನುಭವಕ್ಕೂ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಕೆಲವರಿಗೆ ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಯೂ ಇದೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಉತ್ತರ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇದು ಇದೇ ಸರಿ, ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಇವರು ಅದರ ಮಾತನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರೇ ಹೇಳಿದ ಹಾಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನಸ್ಸಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಅನೇಕ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಉತ್ತರ ಹೇಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ. ಆದರೆ ಒಂದೇ ನಿಮಗೆ ಸಲಹೆ ಮತ್ತು ಸೂಚನೆ, ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಯಾರೋ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಬಹುಶಃ ಅದರ ಉತ್ತರ ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬರಿಗೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳಿಸಿರೋದಿಲ್ಲೋ ಅಥವಾ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಬೇರೆ ಯೋಚನೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಅದೇ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಕೇಳೋ ಹಾಗಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ದ ಟೈಮ್ ಇಸ್ ಲಿಮಿಟೆಡ್. 20 ನಿಮಿಷ ಸಮಯ ಇರೋದು. 20 ನಿಮಿಷದಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ನಿಜವಾಗಿ ಸಹಾಯ ಆಗ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಬೇಕಾಗುವಂಥ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಸೂಚನೆಯನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳೋದಿದ್ರೆ ಹಾಗೆ ಈಗ ಇದು ಇಲ್ಲದೇನೂ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಬಹುಶಃ ಗಟ್ಟಿಯಾಗಿ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಹಾಗೆ ಆಗಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಮೈಕು ಬಹುಶಃ ಅಷ್ಟು ಸರಿಯಾಗಿಲ್ಲ ಮತ್ತು ನಿಮಗೆ ತೊಂದರೆನೇ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಹಾಗೇನೆ ಆಗಬಹುದಾ ಅಂತ ನೋಡೋಣ. ಉತ್ತರಕ್ಕೆ ಇವರಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತೀನಿ. ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಗಟ್ಟಿಯಾಗಿ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳುವವರು ರಿಪೀಟೆಡ್ ಆಗಿ ಒಬ್ಬರೇ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಸಣ್ಣ ಮಾಡಿ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗೆ ಉತ್ತರ ಇದ್ರೆ ಸಮಯ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ರಿಪೀಟೆಡ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಎರಡು ಸಣ್ಣ ಸೂಚನೆಗಳಷ್ಟೇ.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಅರೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ತುಂಬ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಬ್ರೀಫ್ ಆಗಿ ತುಂಬ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪೂರ್ಣಪ್ರಗತಿಗೆ ಬರೋರಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಯಾವುದೋ ಜನ್ಮದ ಪುಣ್ಯ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, ಬಟ್ ನನ್ನ ಕನಸಲ್ಲಿರೋದು ಹೋಲಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಆಗಿ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲಿಂದ ಹಿಡಿದು ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಸ್, ಆಲ್ ದ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾಂಡೇಟರಿ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇದೆಯಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಇರುತ್ತಾ ಅಂದರೆ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ಈಗ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ ದುರ್ದೈವಕ್ಕೆ ಎಂಥ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಅವ್ರ ಅಪೋಸಿಷನ್ ಇರುತ್ತಾ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ನಾವಷ್ಟೇ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ದು ಉಳಿದವ್ರು ಸಫರ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರೋವಾಗ ವಿ ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಹ್ಯಾಪಿ. ಸರ್ವೇ ಜನ ಸುಖಿನೋ ಬಂತು ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಆ ವಿಷಯಕ್ಕೆ ಇದು ಮ್ಯಾಂಡೇಟ್ ಆಗಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾವಾಗ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇದೆ, ಎಷ್ಟು ಟೈಮ್ ಹಿಡಿಯುತ್ತೆ, ಅಂದರೆ ಈಸ್ ಇಟ್ 1 year 2 year 5 years ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾನೆ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ NEP ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. ಅದು ನಾನು ಪಾರ್ಷಲ್ ಆಗಿ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಡೀಪಾಗಿ ಹೋಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಅಫ್ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಗುಡ್ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತು, ಬಟ್ ಇದು ಯಾವಾಗ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಈಚ್ ಸ್ಕೂಲಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತಾ ಅಥವಾ ಇದು ಆಪ್ಷನಲ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತಾ, ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಪೋಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಾ?
ಇದು ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟೇಷನ್ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ. ಬ್ರೀಫಾಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಆಸ್ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಕನ್ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಟಾಪಿಕ್, ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಲೆವೆಲಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಮತ್ತು ಕರಿಕ್ಯುಲಮ್ ಫ್ರೇಮ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಡಿಫೈನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟೇಷನ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟು ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್. ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಡಿಫರೆಂಟ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಸ್ ಹೂ ಆರ್ ಟೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್ ಡಿಫರೆಂಟ್ಲಿ. So you spoke about the government. So lot of it depends on the type of government. So in some states they have model implementation of it. They have created model schools. Even centrally, the PM Shri, Pradhan Mantri SHRI, this model schools ಒಂದು model define ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ NEP ಮೇಲೆ. So those new ಹೊಸ schools ಮತ್ತು ಆ ಥರದ schools certification ಈ ಥರ ಒಂದು ಇನಿಷಿಯೇಟಿವ್ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಇನಿಷಿಯೇಟಿವ್ಸ್ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ ಫಾರ್ ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟೇಷನ್. ಎಷ್ಟು ವರ್ಷ ಬೇಕು ನನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಐ ಫೀಲ್ ಇಸ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಇಸ್ ನೆವರ್ ಅ ಟೈಮ್ ಬೌಂಡ್ ಥಿಂಗ್. ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಇಸ್ ಪರ್ಪೆಚುವಲ್. ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಇನ್ ದ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್. Are there hurdles for are there challenges and hurdles? There are many challenges and hurdles, including government, parents, education system, the way we have structured things. Lot of challenges in every aspect. What I feel is personally, if you have a policy and if there are schools like Purna Pramati and there are many like this, There might be few thousand schools like Purna Pramati, maybe 50,000 schools, who are very happy that we have now a guide like this. Lot of things you might be doing, you might get additional things, but you also get now support that okay, what we are doing has to be there everywhere. So Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina is an aspirational thing. Will that happen and will there be a full stop on someday? After Agal. But we have to strive towards. I feel to some things we should not get worked up. English ಅಲ್ಲಿ worked up ಅದು stress ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ. Even in ಮಹಾಭಾರತದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ ಇದೆ ಈ ತರ. ಕೃಷ್ಣ himself, ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಶಿಷ್ಟ ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, he went to ದುರ್ಯೋಧನ, ಯುದ್ಧ ಬೇಡ, ಏನಾಯ್ತು? ಯುದ್ಧ ಆಗಿದೆ. Even Bhagwan Krishna went and it didn't happen even that time, right? I'm just giving a very crazy, intentionally I'm giving a very crazy example for this, but in our life also, there will be some things which will be in our control and in our influence. Even you as a parent, like each one of us, as a parent, our primary responsibility is to create environment at home which is conducive to bring up a very charitravan children. That is our primary. So if we do that, if all houses do, as many houses do, great thing will happen. Then the second thing is we should have more schools like Purna Pramati, and then we should have more people at government place for policy and all who work on implementing great things. So there are a lot of good things. More things should happen. Everything may not happen this year, in next 5 years. It may take 15 years. The recommendation of 1968 policies, they are still not implemented. So how many years over? But some things are implemented, not everything.
Just want to clarify on the age.
ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ನನ್ನ ಕ್ವಶನ್ NEP ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಫೌಂಡೇಶನ್ ಸ್ಟೇಜಲ್ಲಿ ಏಜ್ ವೈಸ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಇದೆ. ಕೆಲವರು ಎರಡು ವರ್ಷ 9 ತಿಂಗಳು ಇರಬೇಕು, ನರ್ಸರಿ 3 years ಆಗಿರಬೇಕು ಅಥವಾ 3.5 years. ಸೊ ಇಸ್ ಎನಿ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ ಏಜ್ ಫಾರ್ ದ ಕಿಡ್ಸ್ ಟು ಗೆಟ್ ಇಂಟು? Because there is confusion, they might have to repeat some classes if they go ahead.
I know this problem, it's a Karnataka specific problem. The NEP, NCF, link, direct link. In the whole country, there are only 2 states where class 1 entry is at 5 years or less than 6 years. All other states in the country, class 1 is at 6 years. Okay. So Karnataka, from center, there was that everybody, all states should be same. So there was a notice to Karnataka government. And that's why to adjust that, they have done some policy now. So it's more of a administrative policy rather than anything to do with the academic development of the child. So NEP and NCF link.
Namaste. Since this NEP or NCF is formed is focused on the teachers, it is based on teachers. In Purna Pramati, most of the teachers are parents. As you say, parent and teacher, it is a continuity, they must be there at home and as well as at the school. So, in that case, what is the initiative that government is going to do or has taken for the teachers? Is there any training or some arrangements of program is being done, or is there anything is going to be done? Because attending a training, I was a teacher, I am a parent, so I would like to know, is there anything like that to attend?
It's a very important question for implementation of NEP and NCF recommendations in foundational stage specifically. in higher stages also. In foundation stage, if you know government system, most of the questions are coming on the administrative side. So when I answer, it may not be total what is there in the NCF as such. Administratively, we have two ministries. One is Women and Child Welfare Division, WCD, and the second is Education Department or Education Ministry. So Education Ministry starts with class 1 onwards, and below that it is by WCD. So WCD Ministry takes care of nutrition and the health aspects of mother and child. So that is the focus. So along with that, little bit education is also there. So we have system, a program, a government project called Anganwadi. Anganwadi ಬಗ್ಗೆ. So Anganwadis, there are some 70,000 Anganwadis in Karnataka. The government and maybe some, not privates are not Anganwadis, but the preschools we call. So these Anganwadis take care of health and nutrition mainly. So we call them Anganwadi workers today. But NEP, and we had a lot of discussions in our team, but we should not call them workers, but we should at least call them Anganwadi teachers or Anganwadi educators. Because it's not just the nutrition and health. Whoever is the Anganwadi teacher is taking care of a lot of things about the child. And those are the most critical years of child's development. Today, most of our Anganwadi teachers, they are not trained. Some are given 1 month training, maximum 3 months training. That is our current situation. So now, as implementation of NEP, there is plan to give training for all the Anganwadi teachers. We don't, it might be depending on the graduation or 12th level of the Anganwadi teacher. So they may have 6 months or 1 year certification program, which will also be a qualification program. So that is planned by government. For other teachers, there is a huge change. Today, I'll just finish this one thing related to the teacher part and will come. There is a huge change in the way we look at teachers. So you know, there is huge hierarchy in teachers. A Balwadi teacher is looked like this by a primary teacher. Primary teacher, I am a primary teacher. High school teacher will look at both of them like this. College professor will look at those school teachers. So this is the hierarchy we have now. NEP says that for all ages, it is extremely important we have well-trained teachers. So today we have NTT, which is 6 months, 3 months. It's a very unorganized training program for the pre-primary or Balvatika area. So NEP says that all stages, teachers should be prepared through a 4-year professional integrated course, which is called ITEP, Integrated Teacher Education Program, ITEP. And these ITEPs will be done in IITs also. IISc, IIT, ISERS, central universities. So it will be done. So this year, the pilot ITEP will happen in 49 big institutes. In that, some are IITs, some are ISERS. So we will have profession like with IIT engineering. So there will be teachers also coming from prestigious institutes. So this is to say, one is like teacher's profession is not anybody can do it, but it needs many types of preparation. So that preparation will happen through professionals.
ಸರ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ಅದು ನನಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟ ಆಯ್ತು ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ. ಬಟ್ ಇವಾಗ ಈ ಸ್ಟೇಜಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಈ ಲರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟೇಜಲ್ಲಿ ಅಪ್ ಟು 8 ಇಯರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಅದು ಅಂದರೆ ಇವಾಗ ನಾವು ಮೆಜರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಇವಾಗ ಇವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಯೇಷನ್ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಅಂದರೆ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಟಿವ್ ಅಸೆಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಹೇಳಿದ್ವಿ. ನನಗೆ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಅದನ್ನು ಇವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಯೇಷನ್ ನನಗೆ ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೇಗೆ ನನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಬರೀ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಟಿವ್ ಅಸೆಸ್ ಬರೀ 2 ಫಾರ್ಮೇಟಿವ್ ಅಸೆಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆದರೆ ಹೇಗೆ ಅದು ನಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತದೆ ಫೀಸ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಗಿದೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಯಾವ ಥರ ಇವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಐ ವಾಸ್ ಟು ಡಿಸೈಡ್
Very important question. Evaluation is one thing, but before evaluation is what development should happen. So in NCF, there is a structure based on the domain. So there are 6 domains. Now, Matadili, 6 domains here. In every domain, there are curricular goals. So there are specific goals defined. Physical development alli ಏನೇನು ಆಗಬೇಕು, emotional development alli ಏನೇನು ಆಗಬೇಕು, language development alli ಏನೇನು ಆಗಬೇಕು, ಅದೇ ಥರ aesthetic development alli ಏನೇನು ಆಗಬೇಕು, ಅದು ಎಲ್ಲ curricular goals are. So there are 13 curricular goals across 6 domains. And for every curricular goal, there are competencies defined. This is a sensory development. Now, sensory development, there are different competencies. The competency of different senses, or even language developmentally, there are different competencies. Able to listen, speak, read, write. Other numerical, numeracy competencies are there. So, like this, there are 67 competencies. So, for every curricular goal, there are set of competencies. And then for every competency, there are learning outcomes. So this is the structure given in the NCF. Based on this structure, teachers and parents, you can look at. So if it's a child should able to run 100 meters, for example, this is one competence. Now their learning outcomes are markers or milestones. The child might be able to run 10 meters, or say jump forward or jump backward, whatever. So all of these are mentioned. So you can look at those things. You don't have to look at, when we say summative assessment, our problem is as a system. So when we think of summative assessment, we always think of pen and paper, 80 marks or 100 marks. Summative assessment can also be practical exam. But summative is a cumulative learning of that child, what the child has learned so far. You can do practically. You can ask the child to do a project, a model, ask to speak. These are also methods of summative assessment. So many times when we say formative, we think formative is casual assessment, summative is serious assessment. Summative is the marks after and then. Even in, it's not just foundational, even in higher secondary stage also, the new NCF for school education suggests that summative assessment can be a project. Summative assessment can be field visit or a talk. So these also can be summative. With this transformation will.
We have 5 more minutes before we close. So one question, short question and short answer.
Namaskar to everyone. Namaste. How will this ongoing evolution of this technology, artificial intelligence, will have impact and NCF as so. Thank you so much. And also this one more supplementary, I saw the aesthetics topic. Aesthetics has to be taught and not be taught.
Very nice question.
Not worried about the other institutions and worried about especially for our children and the Pune. What is the roadmap that Pune is going to give the parents and students and the teachers? If they share with the parents, it will be very helpful for us to prepare our child and ourselves also. This is the roadmap we want now. That's it.
There is always a big question on impact of technology and use of technology. The NCF, while preparing NCF, there were many discussions. The ChatGPT was not there when we started. But when we were midway through, ChatGPT came. So, and then there are some technology people also as part of the steering committee. So many people come from background where they are designing latest technologies for people. So what is the impact and how we can make use of this? So there in foundation stage, it was agreed by almost everybody saying that we should have minimum use of technology for children. But for teacher preparation, teacher development, resource sharing, collaboration, we can use technology. So this was a broad statement of how technology should be used in the foundational stage. I think we can talk on this topic for a long time. This is a big concern for humanity. With AI, how things will transform. So after many long deliberations, sometimes we have also come to a stage that what happens nobody can predict. They are all speculations. So we can't design a policy on speculation. So we will design a policy based on current situation. And then as things evolve, we also might have to change something in the policy. So this was recommended, which was backed by research also, that how our neuron connections are changing based on the our use of technology and our social connections. So those type of researches were also looked at. The second question, aesthetics. So aesthetics, if we look at this is for foundation stage. So this is very simple thing where children start experiencing anubhava. So aesthetics has to come from anubhava. That feeling, anubhava, has to come from real experience. Because in the foundation stage, children learn through direct experience. So we have these stages up to 8 years, up to 11, 13 years, then up to 16, then 18, 20. So at each stage, we have specific aspects which are more active. So our sensory part is more active in the early years. So child wants direct experience. So direct experience of seeing nice things, feeling good about it. So that part, aesthetic development will happen in the early years. Later, in NCF SC, you will see aesthetics development full chapter is there, and it starts from Natya Shastra, how what is mentioned and how this particular aspect of human life has to blossom. So those things are given. So I think if you are interested, please read. I think about Purna Pramati.
ಇದು ಈ ಸೆಷನ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಇದು NEP ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮತ್ತು NCF ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ನಮ್ಮ ಶಾಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಬೋಧನಾತ್ಮಕ ಕೊಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಓರಿಯಂಟೇಷನ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಗೇಮ್ಸ್ಗೆ. ಆಯಾ ಸ್ಟೇಜಸ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಇನ್ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಕ್ಲಾಸಿನ ಒಂದು 2 ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಹಾಗೆ ಕರೆದು ನಿಮಗೆ ವಿವರವಾಗಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಕೊಡಲಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಯು ಡೋಂಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ವರಿ, ಅದನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಶೇರ್ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ. ಅವೇನೋ ನಿಮಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟತೆ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಮುಂದೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನು ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಥವಾ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಕೂಡ ಒಂದು ಸಹಾಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಡೂ ದಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಪ್ಲಾನ್ಸ್ ಟು ಡೂ ಇಟ್. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸೋ ಮಚ್. ಇನ್ನೂ ಯಾರಿಗಾದ್ರೂ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳು ಇದ್ದ ಪಕ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ 1 ನಿಮಿಷ ಸಮಯ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಮುಂದಿನ ಸ್ಟೇಜಿನ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಅವರು ಮಾತಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಸಿದ್ಧ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಮತ್ತು ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಕಾಯ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬಟ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಚೀಟಿಗಳನ್ನು ಬಿಡಿ, ವೈಟ್ ಶೀಟ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ರೈಟ್ ಎ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್. ನಾವು ಆನ್ ಯುವರ್ ಬಿಹಾಫ್ ನಮಗೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನೀವು ಟೇಕ್ ದ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಪಾಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಆನ್ಸರ್. ಸೊ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳು ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲೇ ಇರಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗಿ ಅವರಿಂದ ಉತ್ತರ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. ಬಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಟುಡೇ ದಟ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಡೂಯಿಂಗ್. ಸೊ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಟಿಕೆಟ್ ಚೇರ್. ಸೊ ಯಾ ಎಸ್ ನಮಗೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾಗಿ ತಲುಪಿಸಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹೆಸರು, ಮಗು ಹೆಸರು, ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಎಷ್ಟನ್ನು ಬರಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದಿಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಫೋನ್ ನಂಬರ್. ಎಸ್, ಫೋನ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಬೆಟರ್. ಇಮೇಲ್ ID ಆಲ್ಸೋ. ಎಸ್, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್. ಒಂದೇವರು ವೆರಿ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ ಗಿವಿಂಗ್ ಬೇಡ ಅಂತ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಹಾರ್ಟ್ ಫೆಲ್ಟ್ ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ ಟು ಹಿಮ್ ಫಾರ್ ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್ ಕಮ್. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಬಹಳ ಸುಂದರವಾಗಿ ಕನ್ನಡ, ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ ಅದು ಸೇರಿಸಿ ಮಾತಾಡಿ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಅರ್ಥವಾಗುವ ಹಾಗೆ ಸರಳವಾಗಿ ಹೇಳಿ ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿದ ಹಾಗೆ ಅವರು ಕೂಡ ಹೇಳಿದ ಹಾಗೆ ಇದೊಂದು ಅಪೂರ್ವವಾದಂಥ ಸೆಷನ್. ನಾಟ್ ಪರ್ಹ್ಯಾಪ್ಸ್ ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ನೋ, ಮೆನಿ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ಸ್ ಮೈಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಡನ್, ನಾವು ರೋಲ್ ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಬಟ್ ಅನೇಕರು ಮಾಡದೇ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಬಟ್ ನಮಗೆ ಇದು ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಅಗತ್ಯ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾದರೆ ನಾಳೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಶಾಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಆಟ ಆಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಅವರ ಹಾಗೆ ಏನೋ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಅನಿಸೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಏನೋ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋ ಭಾವ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ಸ್ ಅಸ್ ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಅವರ್ ಕರಿಕ್ಯುಲಮ್. ಸೊ ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸೋ ಮಚ್ ಸರ್. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ವೆರಿ ಮಚ್. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಆಲ್. ನಮಗೆ ಮುಂದಿನ ಸೆಷನ್ಗೆ ಸಮಯ ತುಂಬ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಇದೆ. ಒಂದೇ ನಿಮಿಷ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ನೀವು ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಅವರು ಒಳಗಡೆ ಬರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಯಾವ ಕ್ರಿಯಾ ಸಾಧ್ವಾರಗಳು